it was just in the Narrows before we got to Shoal Lake. So anyway,
was this on floats or skis?
We were on skis.
Oh, yeah.
And I took off and got up only 200 or 300 feet when it just quit completely. But like I was so lucky because the whole Narrows was right in front of me. So we went down and landed, and after it warmed up a bit, it cleared off. But and we were fine.
Still interesting. I mean, that's not something that the average person encounters in their daily go-to-work thing.
No, and after we changed the engine, we didn't have that problem. Mm-hmm. One time when I was flying floats, flying into Kenora from the camp, I had mag problems, mm-hmm. and it sounded like a bunch of tin cans. I couldn't believe what is going on. I was by myself. Thank goodness, or the passengers would have had a fit, I think. But there just happened to be a tourist camp ahead. So I landed, went to the tourist camp, phoned the engineers at Kenora. They said, oh, it's mags. So they came out and changed the mags. Another time I had, and this was really funny the way it happened, because there was a tourist, and he was a bit of a smart aleck, but we were talking about weather, and he couldn't figure out why you have to have good weather. I said, well, you have to see where you're going. We had a beautiful, clear blue sky and a sunny day. I was going to take him into Kenora, so we got almost to Kenora, and there was a fog bank right along the Winnipeg River, mm-hmm. just before our landing area. And I was already starting to let down when it started to move in over the landing area. And I thought, well, it's okay if I land, I'll get down now, and then I can taxi along the shore and get in. Which I couldn't, because it came in and it was like a white sheet all around us. I had no instrument flying. I had five hours that you had to have for your commercial. But I'd never really used it. But I had, because of the fog, I had checked my gyro. And so I attempted to make a 180-degree turn and go back. And we got out, but we certainly weren't 180 degrees when we came out. But
you weren't in the trees either.
Yes, that's right. So we had to go all the way back, in clear sky, all the way back to Shoal Lake. And I think he was shuddering. It was rather funny, because he was saying, I don't know why you need good weather. And one that was really a bad judgment call was at this, from the outpost camp, I had taken some 4 fellas in, and they were tenting in the fall, and a couple of them were older fellas, and they were going to be there for 2 or 3 days. Well, then the weather went bad, and it had been bad for several days. Really, really windy. Shoal Lake is a big shallow lake, mm-hmm. that can get quite rough, and there was big rollers. Mm-hmm. And finally I thought, well, it's not that rough. And the camp was on, there was a small bay in front, so I would be able to get off fine. And I thought I'd better get these especially the older fellas out. I didn't know if they'd have enough food. I was afraid something might happen to them. So I went up and picked them up. The 2 younger ones stayed behind. And when I was taking off, because it had been so rough, I knew I hit a wave that just knocked me into the air, but I hung there and kept on going. And if I'd been smart, I would have landed in Kenora, but I didn't. I went to Shoal Lake, and I looked, oh, this is really rough. So I did land in a bay behind the tourist camp, mm-hmm. but there weren't white caps, but there were big rollers. Mm-hmm. I hit one roller. It was a very short landing, because I just the engine just went down like this, but kept on going right down to the spreader bars. And it was still so windy that it blew us. And I had a guide on board and these two older fellows. And so I had them get their life jackets on, and the wind blew us right into the back of the bay. Mm-hmm. We were able to step out, tie up the airplane,